me here, man. Support me. Support me. Because one thing about the structure that
I think if I'm the support, you have to lean. I don't lean on you if I'm the foundation.
Yeah. This structure I've been talking about building, buddy, it is, and I love it. These are my favorite days. And I've built it that way intentionally, but it is, it's a lot of me, man. It's a lot of, there will be no student walk out of my class this year and be confused on who I am or what I'm doing, you know?
Nope. I have no idea what you're talking
CTE
about.
class. So it's very easy to build structures where student work is the main focus.
Sure.
And I do like that. But sometimes it's easy to kind of like overkill that. And now you've gone a couple days and other than just one-on-one little things, you really haven't heard my voice as a group like you would in a very traditional like setting, you know?
No, I'm tracking.
But that's not what this is. And I love it. I mean, from the minute I walked in this morning until the minute we got here and I went, whew, I've been preaching something all day and I love it. And we just so happen to be in, like with level 1 kids, 2 blocks of the day today. We're talking ethics. I get to sort of introduce this topic to students who, you know, these kids are old enough where they've sort of developed who they are, but they don't have any rhyme or reason to it. Where'd it come from? Any of that kind of thing.
Level 1, mostly sophomores, juniors.
Yeah, mostly sophomores. You'll have a senior pop in once in a while that just had some room in their schedule, and those are like a breath of fresh air. Got a kid named Dylan in there right now that's just an awesome kid. I wish I'd had him for 3 years, but he focused in something else, had some room in his schedule, and was like, sounds interesting. So he's in my class, and he is a great voice in the room. But, you know, just asking the question, like, hey, this moral compass thing, can I use that term? Yeah, sure, I get what you're saying. What is yours the same as mine? No. Why? Where does it come from? Where do we get it? And I'm sure this could spill into your sociology classroom.
No, that is sociology.
You know,
but that's philosophy. That's theology.
Yeah. I had a great answer today. The kid says, we're just born with it. Now, in certain contexts, that's not a great answer, but it was a different answer than everybody else in the room is giving, and it allowed us to go and explore some thought that wasn't. I just like those outlier answers where a kid's willing to be and just say it with their chest. That was fun.
Where'd you go with that one?
I just started asking him some hypotheticals all the way to the Jungle Book. Like, all right. You remember Mowgli? Y'all ever seen the Jungle Book? So what happens to these kids? Because all we have to compare to is us in the room, probably some version of kindergarten through 5th, or even homeschooled to a certain point. But here, you're in a public school. You had friends, you had family, some of you went to churches or whatever. You have different cultures. All of these answers have been in the room already. What happens if Mowgli's turned in the wild and just lives with the gorillas and he doesn't have that human behavior to model anything after? Are you telling me, and can I explore that he would still have something built into his genetic fiber that we could pull into this conversation? And after some sort of back and forth questions and hypotheticals, we sort of landed at maybe, and now I preface this with, I'm not this guy. I'm not this scientist guy. I'm just a dude in the room who's thinking with you. Maybe if Mowgli saw another human about to step off of a 100-foot cliff, there would be some sort of survival instinct where he doesn't want to see that happen. I do think some of that is natural. You understand what I mean?
You're going to have to keep going. Is he going to go save the guy off the cliff? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he would at least give whatever motion he has for, like, this is dangerous. Because I think that's as close as we're going to get to what we're born with, is things that keep us alive and that probably naturally don't want to see others around us suffer fate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think we had to learn to not jump off a cliff.
Give me a better example.
Well, it's really hard when you break it down to that, because I could say,
because you're
to not step out in front of a car.
In a jungle.
If I say to not step out in front of a car, well, there's probably some learning that came with that. But by the time you're aware of that car equals very bad pain, at least, and probably is going to kill you, you don't want to just step out in front of that car.
Well, I would have agreed with this kid, but probably went a different direction. And you've heard me say this before.
You're also a sociologist, so.
That's right. And that's when you try to isolate with an example of a person in the jungle, Tarzan.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that movie Nell, Jodie Foster back in the day?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, but there's these isolated
I absolutely know what you're talking about.
Okay. Tay in the wind. She says something like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a famous line. But it does get back to okay, you were born in Tennessee. Okay, that helped shape your compass, because if you were born in Utah, you may have had a different compass. If you were born in New Hampshire, or what if you were born in New York City or Miami or Atlanta or Cuba or Nicaragua? You see where this is going?
Sure.
If you were born in, Moscow, if you were born, travel the whole entire planet, hold on to that idea of that wasn't necessarily, I don't think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, what he was saying. But that's how I would jump on his side of the line and go, I can kind of see where you could go with this, because geography is biography. Where we are born does shape us. And so the where is also the who, because now the where and the who are connected. That's the point of geography, is biography.
Yeah, and that's very similar to what you hear from multiples too. Geography was definitely one of the more popular answers. What this kid, and one of the hypotheticals I even asked him was, okay, so you had at one time baby Matt Paris and baby Ted Bundy, and you're telling me that it was in that, at that moment?
I see. I know exactly where you're going with that.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a good question. What do you say about that?
Oh, he was intrigued as I was. He was eyes to the stars and wheels turning, and that's where I wanted him to be, and that's why I called that a great answer, because it just entered a different idea into the room, and it allowed us a point to explore. So
you had everybody sitting around your classroom thinking about baby Matt Paris today. That was the thought.
Well,
floating around the room,
at least for a moment. That is not what I came here to talk about today. But that's fun, though. I said all that to say I could talk about that and just learn. I just want to learn and sort of.
We can talk about September 18th. That's fun.
September 18th.
Yeah,
that is fun. There'll be a.
I just got a text from Kyler Paris just now.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like just now as we're speaking, you got a text.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how fun is that? Because your young fellow is going to get married.
Yeah, he is. I'm excited for those two, man. They're awesome. They came over yesterday and we made some chicken and waffles for lunch and just hung out. And
where's the rehearsal dinner at?
Stop doing that.
You don't know where the rehearsal dinner is?
Literally 5 minutes before I started this recording, I said, I can't remember where the rehearsal dinner is.
Who's paying for that dinner?
Thanks for that, man. Thanks for that.
Yep. You're welcome. What else you got?
Hey, sociologist who teaches history. Can we talk? And maybe I'll become the student here and let you be the teacher, because you're a teacher of teachers.
Are we ready to get serious yet?
Well, I was headed that way. You got something else that's not serious?
There's this guy that we both know that on Saturday he went to Iceland.
Oh, yeah. How do we not talk about this?
He ran a marathon, man. How awesome is that?
It is awesome.
I only know about a handful of folks personally that I personally know that have run marathons. That's 26.2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome. There's this other guy who knows the guy who ran the marathon, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to walk a half marathon in his honor." Do you know either one of these guys I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Who am I talking about?
You're talking about Christian Man running a marathon.
Yeah.
And me and you walked a half.
Whose idea was that? That was yours, 100%. I don't even know why you hesitated. You're about to say something else.
I mean,
We went for a walk. You checked your steps and said, "Man, let's walk a half marathon."
Well,
we walked 13.1 miles, man.
the goal was 10 miles, right? That's what we started out with.
Yeah, we're
wasn't
just
it?
going to take a walk.
And we're still at least a mile probably from the truck. And I checked to see our distance, and we're at 11 and a half miles.
How'd that happen? I thought we had a route.
Because we just
looped,
I don't
man.
know, man.
We just
walked.
looped.
We did not walk the pre-planned route.
We
Did
did not. No.
Okay, so we
It's not in our DNA.
We freestyled a little bit, and I knew by the time we got to the truck, we were going to be close enough that I didn't want. That's another mark, 13.1. That has some significance, even if you're walking. To me, so I just wanted to get there.
So we're going 25 on the next walk in honor of RFK, which we already brought up for the 50 mile.
I will tell you. I got to learn. I knew that there would be a place, a wall, if you will, because my feet, my legs, they just don't walk.
How's your feet feel
miles.
right this second?
Right this second, they're okay. They're fine. I made it through a whole day standing and teaching and a lot of walking today. They're sore, but they're not like, oh my God, sore. The day after we got done walking, and it's very similar if I play like too much pickleball in a day, I'll come home and I'm literally a 90-year-old man. And
well, you're cutting, man.
Until I go to bed.
Back and forth, yeah.
Yeah, but I'll go to bed and get a night's sleep, and I'll wake up the next morning, and I might have some tightness or whatever, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to what it was.
I'll go back to that wall you were talking about.
We're somewhere around, where were we when I first said, man, I just, all of a sudden, I've got some foot discomfort.
When we first started? I don't know.
No, it's not. Man, don't do that to me.
Okay, my bad. I don't even remember you saying that.
I think it's somewhere near the 10-mile mark. I mean,
it had to be.
We're approaching Tinsley, and I'm saying, hey, if we could find 3 minutes on a park bench, I think I could buy myself several more miles. Just give me a sec. But yeah, I just hit a wall.
Then that was probably closer to 11 because it was right before you checked.
My feet were like, hey, bud.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are we doing here? But yeah, and later that day, I thought, I've made a mistake. I've hurt myself. Something's wrong. But no, it was fine. I hobbled around the house and
Valerie took care of you.
Made sure I hydrated and ate well.
She feel sorry for you at least?
No, she kind of chuckled at me a little bit. She knew I'd be all right. She's seen me come home from playing pickleball enough times that she knew I'd be all right. But then, just went to bed, got a good night's sleep, and woke up the next morning. I was okay. It's fine. Yeah. I can still tell that we did some walking this weekend, but the further I got into the day, the less and less it was.
You and I didn't go get the massage that Christian Man got the next day, or went to the natural hot springs in Iceland.
No, let me stick with Christian Man for a second. Yeah. You're not on social media. Did you see his final post? Like he finally puts it on like Facebook with some pictures and even a video of him crossing the finish line, and you know what kind of rider he is. So even a little Facebook post is just it's awesome. And he spoke of the number 50. Of course, he's just passed 50 years of age, evidently, according to his post. And it looks like that's when he lost his mother. Do you know this? And I wouldn't say this if he hadn't posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
But
I know some of his story. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful little update for friends and family. And hey, I got this in my mind 2 years ago and started training. And God, I'm so proud. I don't know if proud's the right word or
we can be proud of our
inspired
friends.
is the right word.
Both.
Or just God, man, what a feat! Having walked 13.1 miles on Saturday,
You can appreciate it a little bit more.
Oh my word, man!
Yeah.
I can appreciate that he's ran that, and he, in his words, it was his proverbial middle finger to the age 50, because he's looked at that his entire life as the age where he lost his mother, and it's kind of what inspired him to do that. And another thing was the reason he chose the location. Now, the exact location wasn't what he originally intended, but he had chosen a location and a time that didn't work out for some reason, but he had chose it while he and Brian Gallagher were running together, and they always talked about running some marathon in some location. Anyways, that one didn't work out, but kind of the next best thing was this one. Iceland, is that right?
Yeah, he's in Iceland.
Yeah. Just gosh, man, I hope that I need to tell him face to face. I kind of commented on his Facebook post, but like, daggum, dude, like, I'm proud you're my friend, and that's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, love that fella.
Yeah, I walked 13 miles, and I was done for the rest of the day. This man's out here touring the house where Ronald Reagan met Gorbachev after he runs, man. Like, that's the kind of dude this is, man.
Yeah.
So
very generous, brilliant, kind, articulate. Yeah.
He just is,
good
man.
dude.
He just is. I was thinking about him today, and teaching alone. And I'll gush over him for a minute, and then we'll move on. But just teaching alone, like that guy, you could pick that guy up and drop him in just about any decade, and he's a professional teacher, man. He's put together. He's dressed well. He takes his profession seriously, and if your kid or you have him in class, you are a fortunate soul. So, yeah, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, make sure you say that to his face.
I will for sure. I'm proud of him.
All right, if you're going to give that much love to Christian man, can we transition into? We've done this in bits and pieces, but let's do this for real, just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Will you give some love to a teacher? Try not to filter. See what the first name comes to mind that really did have an impact on you. Can you throw out a name?
Janet Ownby.
Have you mentioned Janet Ownby before?
On the podcast?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Tell me about Janet Ownby.
She's my 5th grade teacher at Black Fox Elementary School. And if I'm correct, I think she just retired. Like last year. She may be teaching at Black Fox right now, and I'm sorry if you are, Miss Ownby, but yeah, she's awesome, man. She, in the 5th grade, that's my first year at Black Fox Elementary School. I switched from Michigan Avenue to there. At Michigan
Is that because
Avenue.
y'all made the move?
Yeah, we made a move across town. Yeah, we moved to Johnson Woods.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's when we did that. I started at Black Fox Elementary School. Coming from Michigan Avenue, I was always the smart kid. Just walked through class. Everybody just always, it's always like a attaboy or a good boy and that's a weird. It's a weird place to be, I guess.
Was that the vibe of Michigan Avenue, or was that just the attention that was given to you because you were?
Everybody I had contact with at Michigan Avenue, which would have been my teachers, it was just how smart he is and how but there. And that's all with great intentions, and that's a great way to treat somebody, right? Tell them how smart they are, tell them how good they are, but like.
Only if they are.
I don't know if they knew me. You know what I mean? I never felt like they knew who I was. I didn't feel like, because gosh, man, in an elementary classroom, how much can you know a kid other than like, this kid can outread my class? That was my thing. But I get to Black Fox and I'm literally like crying myself to sleep at night. I don't know if I've ever said those words out loud because I missed my friends from Michigan Avenue. I did not handle that well at first.
Yeah, you were a kid.
Yeah. Miss Ownby, she saw me. You know what I mean?
do.
I can't put it into one conversation or she said this or whatever, but she saw me, you know? She loved me like a mother, man. She was just that person in the classroom. And I remember even in like a couple little times that I kind of got in some little classroom trouble where she'd have to talk to me out in the hallway. And, she just, I don't know, just the way she did things, the way she put things. I always felt I always felt seen. I always felt cared for, and I always felt like she really loved me, like she had my back, you know?
How much of Janet Ownby is in that classroom at Walker Valley at the very end of the hallway on the right?
I hope there's some. I hope there's some there.
Find something. Find something in your teaching that, man, I can see, even if it's not conscious after all these years, but like, yeah, there's a piece of how she presented herself or presented that content or loved on folks that you do see consistently in your own teaching.
Well, she was real. She didn't feel like an actor that stepped into my room to put on a show. You know what I mean? In some of those conversations out in the hallway, one of those was me and Tubby McClellan, and we were buddies, but we had got into it like we were about to throw down.
Is that a made up name?
Absolutely not.
That is a great name.
That is a local.
That is a storytelling name.
That is
right
William
there.
McClellan. Shout out. His name's Tubby. I met him through Awanas when we were little kids, and then I showed up at Black Fox in the 5th grade. He showed up at Black Fox in the 5th grade, had just returned from Colorado Springs, and we had common ground. Hey, didn't I go to Awana with you? Yeah. So we didn't have any friends, so we were classroom buddies. But we had got into it one day, and we're throwing words across the classroom at each other, and Miss Ownby hears them, and she takes us out in the hallway. And it just was different. It wasn't a you have to get along kind of thing. Miss Ownby pulls us out there. I mean, she's like a All-American basketball player back in the day. She's been in some locker rooms, and she says, "Now you guys are putting out words like you really think you're tough. Like you understand, like you're not tough." Like there was just a realism to what she was saying, and that's just a small example. So there's some of that. I feel like, especially coming this non-traditional teaching route that I've came through, I feel like I can offer some of that, and I don't even have to try. And another thing is one-on-one stuff. When I first came to teach, I would make it a point. I would plan to not just work the room and bump into my students, but to have time set aside, whether it be weekly or bi-weekly or whatever it was, that each student comes to me away from other students. Maybe they're working on something. There's some student work happening. I can call you over one at a time, and we literally, part of it may be, and I'll close this up in a second because I'm building it back in, but part of it may be something to do with a grade or progress or whatever, but most of it is when you go home, who's there? Like who's your people? Do I know your parents? I grew up in this town. Who are they? You know? I love, one of my favorite statements is someone will be talking about, oh, in my neighborhood, and I'll say, give me a street name. And at first they're taken back, and I'm like, man, I was the police in this town. You give me a street name and I'm there. You don't have to give me your address. I have it if I need it, but just throw me a street name. And it just kind of tells me where they're at. But that's one of the questions. It's like, you live with mom and dad, or you live with mom or dad or grandparents, or you wouldn't be amazed, but I think your average listener would be amazed to walk in even a Walker Valley High School classroom and learn how many people are living in, can I say non-traditional homes? They're not living with their mom and dad. They're living with an uncle or an aunt or a foster parent, or a grandparent is raising them for whatever reason. But anyways, that one-on-one time, that is me trying to, now, I don't know if manufacture is the right word. It's me trying to force seeing a kid. I didn't just bump into your table and tell you a funny joke or say something, good work or something. Like, I'm sitting with you like adults do and saying, tell me something about you that I wouldn't just find out in your normal classroom day to day. I said that to say I lost that for a few years, even to the point where we were so busy with content and doing this and moving and shaking and doing the next thing that I would find myself in my thoughts thinking, there's that kid. I haven't had a conversation with that kid, Paul, weeks. They're the student that's just happy to just exist in the room and disappear, and they do all their work and they do a good job. And if you asked them a question, they would answer it, but I don't see them. And if I see that, surely they see it, right?
Yeah. Sometimes that's just a normal, and you just let normal just slide, even if it's not best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year, as I rebuild, we've talked about rebuild. I've rebuilt a couple times in the last couple of years, but I'm rebuilding this year, and I'm scheduling that time every Friday. I'm creating, watch this video, tell me these things about it, read this article, write this reflect, something that, I hate to use the word busy work because all of it's tied to the content that we're doing for the week, but it's something that my students can work individually on, and it's not group work, and it allows me the time to literally start at the top of my roll and go down and invite students into my space and talk one-on-one. And I can get, with the size of my classes, I can give students 4 or 5, some of them even 6, 7, 8 minutes. And I get to see them. I get to intentionally have a conversation about something besides criminal justice. And my overall goal is for the topic to be that student.
Yeah.
So if that's Janet Ownby inspired, I don't know. But when I do think of teachers who carried traits that I hope I carry, that's the first name, and it's easy.
I'm going to keep playing off of the genuineness of Christian man. He is one of the most generous people I've ever been around. In your own life, generosity. Who we're naming names in this conversation. Try not to filter too much, see what just bubbles up to the top first. But like generosity. Who? I mean, fruit of the Spirit, memorize that in VBS. But like there's something else to see it in someone's life and to be, it is a very cool thing to be a gift giver, but there is something about witnessing someone else giving the gifts and you being the receiver of some of it. As a student to a teacher, you receive some things from a Janet Ownby, but like who else beyond, a school building? Let's get beyond that. But like who that is generous in that sort of way. I see a real spirit of giving.
I don't know. I mean, I've got a few names that are popping up.
We'll go with those names.
One of them I can only remember his first name, and it was a guy from my old church named Johnny, and he was one of these, what do they call them in the Baptist church? Benevolency guys. He's
Yeah.
he's literally a retired dude, and he goes around. If you got a roof repair you need done, he'll repair your roof. You got a wheelchair ramp you need built, he'll build you a wheelchair ramp. He's got some skills. He's literally got some skills. Where I sort of bumped into him is my father-in-law had he had cancer, and he got to the point where he needed a wheelchair ramp, and Johnny shows up to build a wheelchair ramp, and I'm an able-bodied feller, and at the time I don't have the money just to pay a crew to build him a wheelchair ramp, but Johnny's going to build this wheelchair ramp, and I'm not going to sit and watch him, so I go over and I'm going to help him build a wheelchair ramp. So I got to work with Johnny for a full day's work, and I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know if I can process what happened. But I work a whole day with Johnny, and we have some of the greatest conversations. You know, I've said before that I sort of cling to the old guys. And,
Yeah, you do.
And this is one of them. This dude is real. And anyways, I remember, and this is another thing I've never told a soul. So you're getting it out of me now, buddy. When I left from working with Johnny, I had to pull over on the side of the road and just weep and moan, and I don't know what it was. There was just so much like gratitude, and I don't even know. But just spending a day with that guy doing what we did was just overwhelming to me in that moment. And it had a lot to do with what, as a Christian, I would have to assume that Johnny's carrying some things around with him. And he has a lot of those fruits of the Spirit that you mentioned, and they were just seeping from him. So I count it a real blessing to have had the opportunity in such a crazy time when my father-in-law's got this cancer and his health is in decline, to spend a day that did it change my life? Spending a day with that guy? It might have. It was very impactful for me as a young dude to get to spend. That's why I cling to old guys, because every now and then you run into a guy like that just wrecks you, and you don't even know why.
Yeah. Well, maybe you do. Maybe that's a very necessary part of our own maturity. Mm-hmm. Learning some things and being that gracious to other folks.
I'm going to remember his last name as soon as we turn this recording off, because I know it like I know my own.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of described Johnny the same way that you described your grandfather at times. Is he one of those folks? Or I might be running into a John Gann grandpa story right here of just willing to lend his skills of handyman for other folks. Is that a John Gann story I'm remembering, or can you remember such things as well?
Yeah, my granddad, I guess any generous people that we would talk about, they're generous with what they have, right? And my granddad, he's a guy that he's a handy feller. You want him around if something breaks or tears up, or you need to build something and you don't have those skills. He either has the skills or you'll figure it out together. And yeah, he is that guy. But he was generous with those skills for sure. He's I've told the story before of him fixing an air conditioner at the church and me asking, why didn't you?
There it is.
I just saw him try to pay you money.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, I know you don't have like excess money laying around.
Yeah. I knew we had that conversation. And so that's why, I brought that up, because I really thought you might go there first. But I love it that you brought up Johnny. And first two stories, you've cried in both. So I'm going 3 for 3. Hey, let's
Nobody
think about,
saw it, so did I?
Ooh, okay. Might be a theory of conspiracy of some sort. I don't know. Did you like that one?
No.
Thanks. Inside joke. Christian man, let's keep thinking about this guy. We're going to love on this guy. He just went and did this thing. Gosh, you got to be motivated. But one of the parts of Christian's story is he's had a trainer. Year, 18 months, could have been 2 years, but he's been training and he has been diligent. He has turned himself into letting him be the Luke Skywalker to this running Yoda to make sure that he has what he needs to go across an ocean to do this thing before he turns 50 in honor of his mother. But when you think of someone who has had the power, the impact, and the influence on you to do something you thought you weren't able to do, that's a different lane. Think of anybody? Because remember, it could be physical, but it could be this mental, emotional, even intellectual space of, man, this person got me to a place that I never thought I could get to on my own. And come to think of it, I probably could have never got there without them being in my life. Who do you think of that has had that sort of impact on you? Try not to filter too much. Who comes to mind first?
I don't know. I don't know. I would hate for every story to be about my granddad, but like he's a guy who, whether it was based on truth or not, he believed I could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Now to make some of the leaps that I've made, there are times, and we've talked about this before, there are times that you require a confidence, and sometimes it's not a confidence based on fact. Sometimes it's just a belief in yourself to figure things out. And that's about as close as I could get you to that. Is he's a guy that, you know, if I were in conversation with him and I didn't think I could do something, he could change my mind pretty quick, you know?
Yeah.
He's how I develop some basic old, I don't even know what this is, but like I've said this before to not only my son, but to other people of like, you know, when they are trying to maybe make a transition or make a move and they doubt themselves, I would take it to like, there's so many people dumber than you that are crushing that right now. And that's just this weird backward.
There are other ways to articulate that truth, but like that's a truth, man.
There are.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You've told a story before to me, whether we're riding in a truck or maybe on this microphone, but an English professor somewhere along the way.
Oh, yeah.
That got you writing.
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Reflect on that fella here for a second.
I didn't know I could write until that guy told me I could. And yeah, so that meant a lot to me. He did it in a weird way. He did. If I told you how he did it.
Yeah, tell me again.
We have to write this paper. I'm in this cohort of it's a bunch of detectives. We're going to go get our degrees. You know, we're working professionals, but we want to sort of raise that ceiling and go get that degree. And we enter into his Composition 2 class. And we didn't have him for Comp 1. We had another guy. But he's a guy that comes in and he talks about Star Wars all the time. He points you to some of the work that he's done. He's done some writing. His name's Timothy Keller. He was a local feller. And on our first paper, I'll get this wrong. I don't remember exactly which one. I want to think it was a music as literature paper. And I had written a paper on I think it was Amazing Grace, just the song Amazing Grace. And it was an analytical paper. And I think he had trouble communicating with some of the guys what analyzation was. Like maybe it was cloudy for them or whatever. Anyways, we write the paper. We're in a cohort, and a lot of times we'd study together. We'd meet at Lassiter's Coffee and get around a table, and we were grown men. I mean, if we had questions, we'd talk it out with one another, and in the meantime, we'd do our work. And there had been some back and forth over that table, and it was clear that even at that table, we did not agree on what we were doing. And at some point, I just had to bet on myself and just do what I thought. So we go our next meeting. He comes in the door, doesn't even enter the door. He peeks his head in and he don't even know our names. Matthew Paris. Is Matthew Paris here? That's me. Can you come here, please? So we go outside, and this is at the sheriff's office in the North Training Room. So you're either in the classroom or you're outside. So we go outside, and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to use your paper for something. Would you mind me talking about your paper in front of other students?" And I was like, "No, that's fine." In hindsight, if I had it to do over again, I would have said, "Yeah, let's just keep it between us." So what this guy does, he comes in and he starts waving my paper, and he's like, "I don't know how, but this guy gets it. The rest of you, I don't know what happened." And he starts just going on about this paper. And anyway, so weeks of writing papers, different types of papers. And I know this seems shallow. It's my favorite college class. so far to this day, because I really enjoyed not only just writing, but the type of writing that we were doing. Music is poetry, music is other literature. I love that kind of stuff. Anyways, like this guy just always stops by my table and just talks about, man, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know why you're wearing a uniform. You need to go to law school. You need to stop what you're doing, go to law school. And this was a guy that did underwriting for law offices. I mean, he's a skilled writer, skilled critiquer of it. But I didn't, and I'll button that up with this. When I started writing some stories last year, I wanted to share some of them with him and just say, hey, like, remember me? I want you to read this. I read a couple of your things, whatever. And I found that he had passed. He had passed away. So, but yeah, he saw me. If he hadn't said anything to me, I would have just thought I'm still the kid at Michigan Avenue that can outread the class, but there's nothing to that. You know what I mean? But he pointed me, and yeah, it felt good too. Like it's always good when you're trying to do something and someone gives you some positive reinforcement in that way.
Where does that encouragement land with you now? Like, give me a time frame of how far back that conversation was with him in that class. Is that 10 years ago? Is that 15 years ago? How long ago was that?
It is somewhere between there to probably 12-ish, somewhere in there.
How do those words hit with you right now about, hey, you should go further your education. You should possibly think about doing something else. Does that still hit? Does that still resonate? Can you see yourself doing that? Can you see yourself getting back into another class and something new happens to be your favorite new class?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. It's those things that make it, I referenced a minute ago leaps that I had made before just based on belief in myself without any receipts. I mean, I'm still leaning on receipts from like my fourth grade teacher saying, man, you're smart. But it had no depth. It had no other conversation behind it. Now when I think about maybe getting back into another classroom, which I'm doing, we've talked about that. I'm thinking about that and working through that process. I don't lean on that anymore. I lean on like, now this isn't what I base the whole argument off of, but I do have, I mean, that story right there. Here's a very published author who is an underwriter for a law firm, and his opinion about my writing means so much more than I love you, Mom, but my mom or even my fourth grade teacher. Yeah, it's kind of like when I was singing like bluegrass and gospel music. It's one thing to have a little old lady come up and tell you how pretty you sing, but when you're at a bluegrass festival and there's other singers out there going, when one of those people come and compliment you or something, that means a lot more. It's different.
Yeah. Got two thoughts there. Gene would tell those young ladies when we were coaching girls basketball a bunch, hey, if you're feeling some fear, some doubt right now, then you lean in. You lean into me right now. You borrow my confidence because I know what you can do.
Heard her say that.
And I know more ball than you do, she would remind them. And so if I know what I'm talking about, then you borrow my confidence. Mm-hmm. And that speaks to so many other spaces in life to where if we really do have someone who cares about us, that we could lean in and borrow their confidence for a little bit until we actually make it our own. Second thought I have is there's this thing called imposter syndrome.
There it is. That's real.
Yeah. You feel that?
I have.
Yeah.
I have before, yeah.
Yeah. Because you have a particular skill set, buddy, that's pretty doggone unique. And you're in this lane of teaching, but you don't have to stay in this lane for the rest of your days. You can go do some stuff. I know that to be true for you. Last thing on Christian Man. You ready?
Yeah.
You mentioned somewhere along the way, and I don't know if this was his Facebook post, but you did mention it, and I can hear him saying this. But this is kind of my way of giving the middle finger to the age of 50. Was that him or was that you?
No, that's him.
That's him.
That's a quote from his Facebook post.
I love it. Steve Kerr, who most folks know these days, is like this coach of the Golden State Warriors and winning championships and stuff. But I mean, this fellow was just a shooting guard coming off the bench for, some Michael Jordan championships. And there's a book that I used to pass around to some of our guards, high school basketball, every level. But, he said he had to train himself just to F it. And he used the expletive. This guy ain't scared to cuss. And just let it fly. Like his job was to shoot maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And the expectation was for him to make 2, 3, or 4 of those. And if he doesn't shoot it, he doesn't make any of them. And he ain't going to get a lot of shots. And his role was to catch and shoot. And he can't be thinking. He has to own it for himself. He has to say, consequences be damned. I'm going to do what I've trained to do. Or I'm going to do what I have pursued to do, or this craft that I have I have leaned into. And this has become a part of me. Who in your life do you see that kind of lives that out, or what kind of areas in your life have you been willing to kind of take the biggest risks? I think is where I'm trying to get to that. Because Christian knew what he was signing up for, but it's another thing to finally get on that plane and go run that race. Who do you see in your life that kind of lives that out in front of you, or what is it in your life that you need to lay down whatever expectations others have for you, and maybe just go for it? What's your first thoughts on that?
Well, I'm having like thought salad right now. Is that 2 questions?
It can be. I started as an or, and then I threw an and in there, so you could go either direction. But just what's your first thoughts?
So the stuff I need to throw down, we'll stay in that school lane. I'm about to, or I'm exploring, going back to school right now. I said a minute ago, back 12 to 14, somewhere in there years ago, I had this ceiling over my head. So I took some classes, I got a degree, and I raised that ceiling. And I want to raise that ceiling again. I want to raise it a little higher. And I don't necessarily know why. I really don't. Could it be that there may come a time when I'm interested in doing more in a school than being in the classroom? I don't know the answer to that. Is it, in the CTE world, you have programs of study, and I do at times believe, and there's this wise guy that speaks into my life all the time, that I do see things administratively. And maybe there's a vein down that trail that I would want to explore. But that's a ceiling that I have over me right now, and I need to move that ceiling. So I'm working right now, shopping some colleges and looking at some situations, and because I have to be smart about it. At 41, I'm not too old, but I am far enough into like a state retirement that I need, this as someone who's doing this yourself.
Yep.
I need to be smart about that. Those numbers are numbers on a budget that, with certain pay scales or this and that, could pay for themselves over time, and I just have to be smart about how I spend money.
Now, in the equation of taking a risk. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a calculated risk, but and just...
It is.
Because I'm hearing you describe, I don't have to, shoot, buddy, you don't have to do this. But there is something inside of you. If you can't articulate it, but that unction still exists, you don't have to, but you have to. And that maybe you'll discover your why later on down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's not, you mentioned this or that. Well, maybe it's both. Maybe that's an and. Yeah. And there's multiple things driving you in that direction.
Well, it just gives me choices, Paul.
Yeah.
It gives me, I don't know how many choices I have right now in education other than doing exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And maybe I open up a whole plethora of choices and I choose to be in the classroom. That's a possibility for me. But maybe I don't. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes there. And it is a calculated risk. That's about as risky. I'm not the big risky guy. I never really have been. That's how you end up working for a sheriff's office in a government retirement and staying in there But yeah, that's a calculated. Can I even call
Every
it a risk?
transition in your life has been a risk. You've done, I mean, we look at your life and
The biggest risk I've ever taken professionally is leaving a profession that I was madly in love with to, and still am, to do something different that I really felt like I could fall in love with. And I have. I do. I love
teaching.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
How's that worked out for you?
It's good. It's good.
Does it compare to what you were doing before? Has it reached that kind of level of, I don't know. I mean, you use the word love, but what do you mean by love?
Well, one place that I look to a Paul Salzwell or a Christian man is I do believe they love the profession of teaching, almost at like this romanticized level. Am I wrong about that?
You're not.
Now,
But I hope there's some depth and some substance to that as well.
sure, but you guys, to me, are like connoisseurs of this profession.
2 decades in.
Yeah.
What if you were hanging out with like second year Paul and Christian? You'd be. Those are 2 different dudes.
Are they?
You know what I'm saying? Oh, 100%.
Well, I know that they are. Are they in that context?
They are in the teaching context and in the just person, man, any role you can mention context. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Grown a lot, matured a lot,
Yeah.
transformed.
I look at it and I don't know that it'll ever reach that. I don't know. I'm not saying
Because you're still in love with law enforcement.
I am I get to talk about it every day.
Yeah.
I get to share stories and perspectives with students every day. I think if you came to me and said, "Hey, we need you to take a science practice and make the switch," I'd be in trouble.
I would too, buddy.
You okay? So that's not okay. I got you.
But I hear you. But so this is what. Okay, so I'm taking a class, qualitative research methods. Okay, I'm going to ask some questions this semester. I'm pretty excited about my Tuesday night class. I really am, sincerely.
Okay.
But next semester, I'm back with Dr. Lawson again in his advocacy class. And this is a guy who's already caught my attention, who has already spoken into my life. And I give some credit along with him and Bill at this juncture in my life to like step into something fresh. And he has already looked not only into my eyes, but I think inside of my soul and went, yeah, you're an advocate. You already are. You're going to enjoy my class. And I don't know if it's doors or opportunities. It's just how he said it, are going to open up for you. And you're going to walk through them and you're going to see something. And it's like, that's pretty cool when someone who has lived out this life and is now given the rest of his life to speak into folks, like he ain't BSing me, man. You know, I mean, he's just not. He sees something that I only catch a glimpse of in myself right now, but I'm excited about, like, there are some possibilities. I do love teaching, but it's because I love learning. Mm-hmm. But what we're doing, what you do with your love of law enforcement, what I do with the love of storytelling is, you know, I say this all the time, you know, facilitate and collaborate, but to advocate for other folks to catch a little piece of what we love, catch a little piece of that love for criminal justice, to catch a little piece of that love for storytelling. And if we can pass that along and then see Virginia Willis in your classroom, I mean, like, yeah, that's the fruits of our labor. And then there'll be folks that, you know, we will not maybe even see again, but Drew Lowe might send me an email and say, hey, I'm teaching now. First day of school and thinking of you. It's like, come on, man. He doesn't be thinking of me. But it's that kind of stuff of just like that's cool to have been able to be a part somewhere along the way and to not be forgotten, but also to remember. And I mean, like if that's the romanticized version of what we're doing, well, I mean, yeah, I'll stay there for the rest of my days. But I love what we get to do because the profession that you're in now, it's never intended to be alone, but you can totally get away with doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a lot of love to Christian man. I mean, this whole thing was kind of rooted on him taking a trip and running his race, which was so much more than just taking steps for 26.2 miles. This was a lot for him.
Yeah.
This podcast that you and I do, it's episode 47. It's more than just us spitting into a microphone. This is a lot to do with our friendship and our bond and the steps that we share together, either on a Saturday morning of 13.1 miles.
Yeah.
Or of figuring out what to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I'll tell you, there's so many, and I've said this before, there's so many skills that go along with doing this that I can't get any other way. You don't have it. What else do you have to compare to putting on those headphones, talking into that microphone? Because that is a skill. It's a skill, Paul, for you to be able to walk in here on short notice and produce a conversation like this. That's a skill.
Yeah, I love it. And I know that.
Yeah. And it's a body of work. 47 episodes.
Yeah.
I'd like to look up the stats on, I know there are stats that exist because you read about, as you start a podcast and you start reading stuff, you read that, most podcasts don't make it past this many episodes or whatever. And this is just easy. This is easy.
You just looked at me and said, hey, we're going to do this every week, right? And I just, yep. And we have. We have.
There's a consistency to that.
Yeah.
And there's still people who are waiting on it. And I appreciate all of them.
Yeah.
It's cool that they stuck with us. They still come up to me, and I'm sure they do you, and have a comment. And it's fun.
Yeah. Izzy Cook in the hallway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She's like, I listen. I was like, you listen? She said, yeah, I listen. Is that awesome? Keep listening.
She's awesome. We've always got Everest. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, anyone that can hear our voice and encouragement to each other. I mean, we talked about generosity. We talked about resiliency. Talked about being motivated and motivating other folks. May we give our lives to both of those, to giving and receiving. I'm always up for reminding myself of that. What else you got?
That's it, man. I'm just impressed by Christian.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that dude was like, I'm going to go run 26 miles. Is he 50?
He is 50. Yeah. He's 50.
It's awesome. Great job, man. Heck of a job. You ready to press pause, brother?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
All right. Next time,